This is a review of the Amazon Basics FRS radios. I was just browsing Amazon one day and I was curious, does Amazon make a radio? One of my favorite things to do is whenever I think of something, I just type Amazon Basics in front of it and see if it's a thing. A lot of my Ethernet cables are Amazon Basics because they're actually moderate quality at a good price. These radios are actually meant for children, if you haven't noticed. But they feel very Cobra-like. They are a full-fledged FRS radio, complete with a wrist strap. This is not the stock wrist strap. This is an upgraded unit. A belt clip, which is not very belt-sized. I guess maybe a shirt pocket clip, and some premium labeling on the back. Stating that it is, in fact, a genuine Amazon Basics device. The belt clip also doesn't like to stay on very well. There's a little notch to keep it in, but it's permanently flexed in the back position. Being a FRS radio, a modern FRS radio, you get all of your GRMS channels except for the repeater presets. But your GRMS, what was it, 15 through 22, are the same receiving channels used for repeaters. So I can surprisingly hear a lot of repeater channels that other stock GRMS radios kind of struggle with. Now, my theory is the reason it comes so clear through on this radio is because I have a lot of noise emitting devices in my house. All my lighting is LED. I have an LED light strip that lines behind the monitor on my corner desk, and the entire ceiling edging has an LED light strip, and when they are in color changing mode, they create some crazy swirly effects on the spectrum analyzer. Even my studio lights are LEDs. LEDs and radios do not generally get along, but they're pretty low noise emitting devices. However, my desktop computer, literally right to the left here, has a platinum class power supply, which only means it's 97% efficient. 90% of the pixies being sent into the computer have the opportunity of being converted into ones and zeros. And then to my right here, one of my monitors are particularly noisy, so I cannot actually use radios next to my desk because they get stuck in receive mode, or at least the Baofengs do. So my theory is this radio is so unsensitive that its noise floor gets pushed down, and it is actually able to connect to repeaters as clear as any of my other radios. But getting off that topic, because it is FRS, it is limited to 2 watts. I don't know if this actually does 2 watts on any channel. It has to have a fixed length, fixed antenna, so it cannot come off, and I cannot put my super antenna on here because it is an FRS radio. To turn it on, you hold down the menu button for 6 years. It finally turns on, and the screen looks like any other FRS radio I've ever had growing up that was purchased from Walmart. It has all the same symbols. Even the tower is the same shape as one of my old Cobra radios. To change channels, it's a little annoying, and that's where the odd part of this radio comes from. This is meant for children. It is colored for children. The listing says it's a child's walkie-talkie, but it is very difficult to operate, surprisingly. To change channels, you don't use the up and down buttons. The up and down button changes the volume from 99% to 100% volume. If you can hear that, they all sound slightly the same. The lowest volume is loud enough, and the highest volume is slightly louder than the lowest volume. completely weird. It comes with a light. Unlike the Baofeng, it does not come with the flashing feature. It comes with a scan mode that is about as fast as your average Baofeng if you hold down the lamp button. Every button has two purposes. Stop. It has a call button. Let me get on the low power. Oh, of course I can't change the channels. So to change the channels, you actually need to go into the menu. So this is, I think this radio is meant for an adult to set it up and give to their child. Now remember, with GRMS and FRS, if you don't want to broadcast as far or transmit as far, you use the low power channels, which is channel 8 through 15 or 14. You hold down the menu button. No, I did that wrong. You hold down the menu button, that's power. Tap the menu button. Now you're in the menu, and for some reason changing the channel is a menu option. Now we're on channel 10, and I'm going to do the call. It has a call. It has a Roger beep. And it has, I think, 8 calls to choose from in the menu. Another odd thing that I noticed is, just because this is basically a Cobra, or I assume is a Cobra FRS radio underneath the hood, it comes with the same CTCSS privacy codes. And just like most Cobras, it doesn't tell you what the CTCSS tone is. You actually have to look it up in, I think it was actually in the manual, which is just a map fold piece of paper, to be able to use these with GRMS radios if you're using privacy tones. But this radio across every single channel came with one of the privacy tones, I think number 3, already enabled. And I think that's for 2 reasons. One is because you're giving this to a child, and if anybody else is using privacy tones, it will drown out a child using privacy tone 3 on those channels. And 2, I think it's just so the average idiot buys this and they realize it doesn't work with their other radios, and so they buy more of this version because they think that this radio only works with this version, but it's because the little privacy tone is set to 3 on all the channels. So just going through the menu, it always starts off on what channel you want, and then it goes over to your privacy tone, which again, they are numbered, but it doesn't show you which frequency the privacy tone is. And another thing too is it goes from 0 to 99. I'm not 100% sure on how that works because there's only like 24 privacy tones to choose from normally, and I don't really care in looking into it that much. Our third menu is Vox mode and sensitivity from 0 to 3, so you can leave that on and annoy everybody on the channel. Your call ringtones. Let me just get that down to 0. Oh, it does have 10. So you have number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is probably the most important feature of this radio, because no other radios allow you to annoy everybody on the same channel as much as these ones do. You will not find this feature on most GRMS radios. That you might get an alarm, but you don't actually get the super annoying but slightly catchy call ringtones. So it's kind of nice to have on this. TO, I honestly forget what that is. I'll just leave it on. RO, this is your Roger beep. And that's it for the menu. And the menu will stay on almost indefinitely for the next century. It will time out eventually, or you can just tap the PTT button. It feels very cheap in the hand. You can tell that this was originally cased for a different radio, because there is a slight X-print of where a headphone jack used to be, like a TRRS, like a 2.5 TRRS connector used to go. But otherwise, it's kind of a loud radio. The biggest downside is that it takes 4 AAAs. Now, I do believe FRS used to be strictly limited to 3 AAAs, and the manufacturer could just do however much power they wanted with that, but I don't remember when it switched. But FRS is now 0.5 watt on the low channels and then 2 watts on the high channels. So this one's allowed to have 4 AAAs instead of 3 now. Yeah, that is the Amazon Basics FRS radio. I ended up getting a 2-pack of these for I think $10. It was on sale close to Christmas, and then on top of that they had a 20% off coupon, which brought the total price down to $10 for a 2-pack. So I keep this in my literal bag of radios. They're all just kind of thrown in there as kind of a novelty handout, and also if I'm out of radios, this still works with all my GRMS radios. And also if I want to play by the rules and not give someone without a license a GRMS radio, I can just hand them this FRS radio if the other 2 are being used at the time. But honestly, it's not a bad FRS except for the gaudy color scheme. So I added the pink strap that wasn't going to be used for anything else. But yeah, Amazon Basics FRS radio. You can find it for as little as $5 a unit.